everything going on with the Big Ten and Michigan. I mean, it feels like if you just refresh your timeline in social media world, like you're going to get a new story when it comes to Michigan. The latest of which being a Pete Thamel report that the Big Ten coaches on a regularly scheduled Zoom meeting, they had their 90-minute meeting, and then afterwards, Jim Harbaugh said, peace out, I'm going to jump off. Y'all can talk about what you want to talk about. The Big Ten coaches are going to Tony Petitti and saying, we want you to take action against Michigan. We want Michigan to have a punishment that happens this year, this season, right now, because the NCAA isn't doing anything. And so this one kind of reads a little bit funny because my first thought was like, well, what do you want them to do? Like, what do you actually want the Big Ten to step in here and do to Michigan that would appease you? And so I actually reached out to some people that work for On 3 from the Wolverine and kind of asked, like, hey, what are you hearing about this whole conversation? What are you hearing about this situation with the Big Ten coaches wanting a pound of flesh? And the response back that I got was, essentially, the Big Ten coaches would like to have the Big Ten bar Michigan from playing in the Big Ten title game should they end up making it to that point. And to me, this gave me the vibe from an Office episode where Jim says he has jury duty. If those of y'all that aren't familiar with The Office, this may not hit, but if you are, stick with me here. Jim says he has jury duty. And he says he has it the whole week, but he only goes for one day. And essentially, Dwight finds out about it, who is his nemesis in this situation, and says, well, I want Jim fired from the office. I want him out of here. Either he goes or I go. And like, from a 30,000-foot view, you're saying you broke the rules. There should be punishment. There should be extreme consequences to a degree. Like, great, let's have that conversation. Maybe that is a good punishment. But then you get more in the weeds here, and it's like, is that really the best thing here for all parties involved? Is that really a realistic consequence for where we're sitting here right now with Michigan? Like, I think that the thing that we got to talk about here is you want to punish Harbaugh if you're a Big Ten coach. More than likely is the sentiment that I would imagine is going on throughout the Big Ten right now. You want to see Jim Harbaugh be the one that's punished for what's going on. You really want to punish J.J. McCarthy? You want to punish Blake Corum? You want to punish Mike Sanders still? Because that's who you'd be punishing. Jim Harbaugh, he's got Big Ten championships. Jim Harbaugh, he's going to be fine any way you slice it. Whether he gets extended at Michigan and he stays around for however many more years, he goes to the NFL, like however you want to talk about this, Jim Harbaugh's coming out of this thing just fine. Okay, he's got options. J.J. McCarthy, he's got a year, 2 years left at Michigan. Blake Corum, this is his last go-around. Like, you really want to punish those individuals for something that happened that they have no idea about? I promise you, J.J. McCarthy doesn't know that Connor Stallions was potentially doing this whole situation where he goes to different Big Ten stadiums and is buying tickets. Like, he has no knowledge of that, but that's who you'd be punishing. That's who you'd be impacting. So I have an issue with that to start with. Second part of this, why would the Big Ten do that? Why would the Big Ten, in their right mind, say, arguably, the last 2 years, well, arguably this year, but the last 2 years, the best team in the conference, we're going to keep you from playing for the conference title? Because you know what that impacts? Michigan's college football playoff hopes. And with Michigan being potentially a college football playoff team, that would impact very, very drastically the Big Ten's potential playoff hopes. Are we sure we want to do that? Are we sure we want to penalize the entire conference because we don't like the way that Jim Harbaugh went about doing things? Now, the other thing that I would say about this, like, even if this were to happen, my understanding is that Michigan would file a restraining order. So, like, hey, Michigan, you can't play in the Big Ten title game. They say, cool, here's a restraining order. We're going to keep playing. And so it's kind of a, like, rock meets hard place, sort of a stalemate, if you will. But my question within this meeting would be, who are the loudest voices? Who are the loudest voices calling for Jim Harbaugh in Michigan to not be able to play in the Big Ten title game or to have some extreme punishment? Because if it's not Ryan Day or James Franklin, then I think those voices should have a little bit less validity to them. Because is the Indiana game any different with the sign-stealing operation that Michigan supposedly had going? Is the Michigan State game any different? Is the Rutgers game any different? No. Sign-stealing, I don't deny that it's probably an advantage. Like, we can all agree it's against the rules for a reason. It's probably an advantage. Is it a 35-point difference of an advantage, which is the average margin of victory right now for Michigan? No. Let's not kid ourselves here. Let's not kid ourselves here and say this is the reason why Michigan would play in the Big Ten title game or why they've been successful. Like, it's not making a difference. So if you got beat by 21 points against Michigan or more than that, then like let's all just kind of relax a little bit and say, okay, let's let somebody else handle this. Now, what I would say too about James Franklin and Ryan Day, if you want them to be taken out of contention for the Big Ten title game, maybe that is a whole separate video in itself for us to explore. But the games that are really going to impact Michigan's season are coming at the end of the season. That 3-game stretch, we talk about it, Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. You've heard me talk about it now many weeks in a row. And those games that are going to impact Michigan's season, I promise you, all those teams have changed their signs. Like Ohio State's not rolling out there with the same signs. Penn State's not rolling out there with the same signs. And if they were, like, whose fault is that then, right? Like, let's all kind of think about this logically. Whenever Michigan and Ohio State play, it will be the most even playing field. There will be no sign stealing. You would have to believe, based on what's gone on to this point in the year and based on what you would imagine both teams have gone through to this point in the year. So, all that's to say, let's not punish J.J. McCarthy for what's going on with Connor Stallions. And if Michigan 30-pieced you, then maybe there's other things to worry about than their potential of playing for the Big Ten championship. So that's how we feel about that. We appreciate everything going on with this situation that's being covered by the Wolverine and everyone else within the On3 network. They're doing a phenomenal job. But again, the Wolverine is going to keep you in the know for all things Michigan right up to the minute. So make sure you have a membership there. And they do phenomenal work, does that entire team. Want to tell you all about GameTime because GameTime is bringing you the hard count today, and we appreciate them doing so. There's a lot of big games on the slate this weekend. You got LSU, Alabama. You got Texas, Kansas State. Heck, next weekend you got Michigan going to Penn State. The bottom line is you're going to want to be at those games. Don't be that guy or that gal that you're talking with your friends about your plans for the weekend, and they're all like, oh, we're going to the game, and you're like, oh, I couldn't get tickets. Let's not do that. Let's utilize GameTime. They are the best way to safely, quickly, and efficiently and financially responsible way to get tickets. You should not have to worry about buying tickets, all right? You should not have to stress about that months in advance. Wait right up to the day of the event even, and GameTime has got you covered, okay? So you can utilize GameTime for anything from concerts to college football games to comedy events. They've got it all. GameTime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind when you purchase, all right? The best part about this is they show the all-in prices total to you up front. I say the best part, it's one of the best parts, all right? There's also the fact that you can see the view from your seat before you even purchase it. It's not going to be something where you show up and then, oh, wouldn't you know it, Jumbotron blocking your entire view of the game. Not the way that GameTime operates. Again, you can see the view from your seat before you purchase. And again, they are obsessed with helping you save money. I said it a second ago. They are one of the most financially responsible ways to purchase tickets, in that if you find a seat in the same row and section of your seat for less, GameTime credits you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app. This is important now. Create an account. Third step is big. Use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. First time using the app, find an $80 ticket, knock $20 off that bad boy, make it a $60 ticket. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code HARDCOUNT, HARDCOUNT, for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.